put down a couple reflections incidentally, so far as they've occurred to me over the course of these recordings, and so far as they might be of interest to someone who's attending to this Nietzsche's lecture on history and the uses and abuses, and in connection to Heidegger's seminar on the same. In Hermann Hesse, in the Glass Perlen Spiel, Das Glass Perlen Spiel, and how do they call it? The play of the game of the glass beads. There's a good. Hesse was a very. He's been described as a strange individualist, but he made a great effort to come to grips with the tradition as he saw it. So the figure of Jacob Burckhardt and Friedrich Nietzsche appear in that work of his, and their doctrines are given under his understanding of them, but they're given in a way which is, he makes the greatest attempt to give a poetic, simple clarity to the views. So that can be of some use to one who wants to think about these things. So far as I understand it, although Burckhardt was older than I just give some sort of biographical remarks. So far as Burckhardt was older, Nietzsche nonetheless exercised a considerable influence over him and changed some of his views. And one thing that's of particular interest there is the emphasis on organizations rather than individuals. So, like, for instance, Nietzsche speaks of the Prussian Kriegschule, and the Jesuits in particular. So the influence that organizations have on the production of human beings and human ways of life. Also, the other thing that's occurred to me, although I don't know if it's correct or not, but I still think it's somewhat worth pondering, is in Andrei Tarkovsky, the Stalker. Stalker closely resembles in its plot and in everything about it the country path conversations. So far as I can see, so the country path conversations were written at the very end of the war by Heidegger. And then there was some book written in 1972, I believe, which Tarkovsky adapted in 1979 or so, let's say. But supposedly the country path conversations were not released out of Heidegger's private papers until the 90s or so, in the German edition. And so I don't know if that's true or not, but and also in addition, Tarkovsky, but I think Tarkovsky must have been contemplated Heideggerian themes quite a bit, and it comes out, and at least Nietzschean themes, because he speaks in The Sacrifice, for instance, the Dorf comes in. The Dorf doesn't come in our present essay at all, the history essay. The Dorf is not the same as the Dorf is Nietzsche's reflection, which is in some way like a distorted mirror, which is aware of the notion of the modesty of the mere collector of quote-unquote facts, who builds up his interpretation of text, even though he has no sense of the subject matter, for instance. This idea of the modesty of the ones who stand on the shoulder of the great thinkers who actually have a sense of what they're talking about, and this confusion that results in this situation of wanting to progress to where one can question, perhaps one wanted to progress at such a great, one had such a great desire to progress that one posited to something that was against reality, because it doesn't really work that way. You have to, the so-called Jung's phrase, nature is aristocratic, can't be easily outstripped, no matter how much one would wish to. That may be so. In The Stalker, there is certainly a kind of, I think that's useful to meditate over with regard to thinking of Heidegger's thinking, because there's a kind of superimposition of thoughts there. Maybe that's incorrect in a major way, because it was impossible for it to be directly inspired by the text. Tarkovsky says he never made films based on things like Dostoevsky, because you'd have to have actors which were not just in their physiognomy, but or their outward appearance, but in their very soul, identical to the exacting peculiar detail that Dostoevsky brought to his character, and that doesn't work. So he preferred sort of more generic characters, and you do find that in this juxtaposition of a kind of a scientist, a stalker or guide, and a kind of literary man or poet, or a scholar. So the perhaps the figures don't look up exactly to what Heidegger described in The Country Path Road, but they almost do. And the idea of the guide is very interestingly overlaid, superimposed thought in unity there. I mean, if one were to look at that text and then to look at the film, let's see. The other comment I wanted to make just in passing. There's quite a few things going along again that I must say deserve clarifications, and I can see how people will. It would be useful if people would make some criticism, because yes, I can see there's a lot of things that could be brought out in that way. I'm aware there's a lot of things that could be brought into tighter clarity, and more, as it were, saving clauses could be added. But for now, let's leave it at that, and I'll try to go back to the text and give more Heidegger and Nietzsche, and less mere commentary, which I'm aware of the risks that we could go off and just into, as it were, an attempt to make interesting remarks, as it were, intellectual entertainment. Of course, we want to try to find out what this we want to have this Aufenthalt with uselessness, but useless mindfulness.